The world does not reward kindness. It kneels only before those who understand the laws of power. While you're busy trying to be fair, others are rewriting the rules to win against you. While you're waiting to be recognized, they're earning respect through mental strength and cold strategy. Machiavelli once said, "He who wishes to survive must learn to fight not only by the laws, but by the instincts of a ruler." But your problem isn't that you're not good enough. It's that you're playing a game where fairness doesn't exist. This video won't teach you to be cruel. It will teach you to be dangerous with intention. You'll learn to see the world through Machiavelli's eyes, where kindness must walk hand in hand with strength, and ruthlessness becomes a form of spiritual discipline. If you've ever been underestimated, used, or pushed aside despite giving your all, this is your moment to awaken. It's time to stop playing fair and start playing smart. The world is not fair. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you stop being its victim. While you're listening to these words, somewhere out there, someone less intelligent than you is being respected more. Someone weaker than you holds greater influence. Someone with fewer skills is living the life you dream of, simply because they understand the darker psychology of human nature. You were taught to be polite, to play fair, to stay humble, to wait patiently for others to see your worth. But while you wait for fairness, others have rewritten the rules. You were trained to be good, while they learned how to manipulate. You were told that respect will come naturally, while they reached out and took it. The game is rigged, but not in the way you think. It's rigged against those who believe fairness exists, against those who put good intentions above psychological power, against those naive enough to think the world will repay their kindness. Here's the truth. The world doesn't care how good you are, how hard you work, or how smart you may be. The world only responds to the level of psychological influence you project. It doesn't reward integrity, it rewards control. It doesn't respect your heart, it respects your presence. 500 years ago, amid the cunning and betrayal of Renaissance Italy, Niccolo Machiavelli saw this clearly. He watched kingdoms fall, rulers rise, and the weak crushed simply because they didn't understand the laws of human power. From that chaos, he wrote The Prince, a book condemned as ruthless, yet embraced by those who held power as a survival manual in the jungle of influence. Machiavelli never taught cruelty. He taught awareness, the brutal truth about human nature, that most people do not act on morality, but on self-interest. That goodness only has value when it serves survival. And that psychological power determines who gets respected and who gets ignored. Now look at your own life. How many times have you helped others and received nothing in return? How many times have you stayed silent to keep the peace, only to be pushed further back? How many times have you waited for your turn, only to watch someone else cut the line and take what you deserved? That wasn't bad luck. That was conditioning, programmed to lose. Society teaches you that humility is a virtue. But in reality, humility doesn't command power, and power decides who gets heard and who gets forgotten. They told you that fairness is an ideal, but fairness exists only in textbooks. The real world runs on psychology, status, and presence. And here is the first truth you must accept. No one is coming to save you. No one will naturally recognize you. No one will play fair with you just because you played fair with them. The moment you understand this, you awaken. You stop asking, "Why don't people treat me well?" and start asking, "How do I make them treat me differently?" That is the first step, to stop being controlled and start taking control. That is the moment you stop playing someone else's game and begin rewriting the rules for your own. I used to be that kind of person. Someone who believed that if I just worked hard, stayed kind, and remained patient, someone out there would eventually notice my worth. I replied to emails on time, worked through meals, helped others without expecting anything in return. I did everything right, yet the results were never what I hoped for. In meetings, my ideas were ignored until someone else repeated them, and suddenly they were praised as creative. I watched loud, confident, shallow people rise ahead of me. I saw the cunning build empires, while the honest struggled to survive. I saw pretenders celebrated, while the genuine were forgotten. And one day, it hit me. The world doesn't reward kindness. It rewards influence. It doesn't value sincerity. It values presence. It doesn't care who you are. It cares how people feel in your presence. In that instant, all my naive beliefs collapsed. I realized that all these years, I hadn't been living in a fair game, but in a psychological battlefield where those who understand the rules dominate and those who don't are controlled. So I began to observe. I stopped seeking approval and started studying the mechanics of power, how people are influenced, led, and manipulated. I read Machiavelli. I devoured every line of The Prince like someone unlocking the secret code of the world. I realized that good people don't always fail because they are weak. They fail because they're playing the wrong game. They play chess with their hearts, while others play with strategy. They believe that being right will make things right. But as Machiavelli said, it is not titles that honor men, but men who honor titles. Meaning, your value isn't naturally recognized. You must make others recognize it. From that moment, I stopped trying to be liked. I started learning how to be respected. I stopped explaining how good I was. I let my actions and my presence speak for me. I discovered that confidence isn't innate. It's born from awareness, the understanding that power isn't given, it's taken by mastering your own psychology. I became quieter, but more observant. When people spoke, I listened, not to respond, but to understand how they think, what they fear, what they try to prove. I realized that in every group, there are hidden arenas, those who command attention, those who steer collective emotion, those who shape others' behavior. It's all a psychological game. From being overlooked, I learned to make people pause when I spoke. I didn't need to speak louder. I spoke less, but every word carried weight. I didn't need to prove I was right. I made others want to believe I was right. That's when I began to understand what Machiavelli meant. Those who understand human nature will rule those who do not. Because the world doesn't run on logic, it runs on perception and emotion. From that point, I stopped seeing myself as a victim of circumstance. I began to see myself as someone retraining my own psychology, escaping the programming of naive kindness. I didn't lose my goodness. I forged it in steel. I'm still grateful, but I don't let anyone exploit that gratitude. I still help others, but only when it doesn't make me weaker. I still listen, but I no longer let people manipulate my emotions. It's a subtle but profound transformation, from victim to observer, from kind soul to one who understands the rules of the game. And once you see the matrix of human psychology, you can never unsee it. You can never go back to being naive, believing that fairness is real, that the world will be good to the good. The moment you grasp this, you begin to reclaim sovereignty over your mind. And from there, the journey to becoming dangerous, meaning strong enough not to be controlled, truly begins. When you finally understand that the world operates by the laws of power, not fairness, something inside you changes forever. You stop seeing actions as random and start seeing them as calculated moves played in silence. You begin to realize that everyone seeks power, only in different ways. Some use charm. Some use intellect. Some use status. And some use kindness. But kindness, when not governed by awareness and boundaries, becomes a weapon turned against you. Machiavelli once said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." Not because he glorified cruelty, but because he understood a simple law. People respect what they fear and exploit what they love. When you crave love above all else, you gradually lose your strength. You compromise. You yield. You sacrifice. And in the end, you are neither loved nor respected. But when you know how to create psychological distance, when you know when to stop, when to stay silent, when to appear cold, you emit an energy that others dare not underestimate. That's not aggression. That's self-control. And that is the foundation of true power. Powerful people don't need to shout. They don't need to boast or prove. They simply make others feel that there's something about them that can't be read. That unpredictability commands respect. When you're easy to read, you're easy to control. When you're too accommodating, you're easy to overstep. When you're too understandable, you lose your mystery, and with it, your influence. Power begins with self-understanding, knowing what you want, what you're willing to trade for it, and what boundaries must never be crossed. A person without boundaries has no power. A person afraid of being disliked will never be respected. Those who try to please everyone eventually wound. You must learn to endure being misunderstood, envied, and spoken ill of, because that is the price of power. No one can be strong and loved by everyone at the same time. Once you grasp this, you stop seeking consensus. You no longer need others to agree before you move forward. You don't need them to like you, only to not be able to ignore you. Power isn't about winning arguments. It's about making others think twice before opposing you. That is silent strength, heavy as steel. And to build it, you must train your mind. Learn not to react the moment you're provoked. Learn to observe without judgment, only to understand what game they're playing. Learn to stay silent when others try to drag you into conflict, because sometimes silence is the greatest lever of power. Those who speak less are heard more. Those who stay calm in chaos control the field. Machiavelli never told you to become ruthless. He taught you to become wise in a ruthless world. Be kind, but rare. Be good, but with limits. Love, but don't let love blind you. Help, but don't let your kindness be exploited. That is the essence of the prince, not to be evil, but to understand how to control the light and the darkness within you. You cannot erase the dark side of human nature, but you can transform it into strength. Like fire, fear it, and it will burn you. Master it, and it will warm and light your path. Power is the same. It isn't evil. It simply mirrors the character of the one who wields it. Once you understand this, you stop living to be accepted and start living to be respected. You no longer want to be loved for your weakness. You want to be recognized for your quiet strength. And from that moment, you begin stepping out of the comfort zone of being good and into the realm of influence, where every glance, every word, every move you make carries weight. Where you no longer just react to life, you shape it. One of Machiavelli's darkest yet most brilliant lessons is this: the world doesn't run on truth. It runs on the perception of truth. You can be right, pure, even the most capable person in the room. But if others don't perceive it, then it means nothing. Power doesn't lie in reality itself, but in how reality is perceived. In every relationship, every organization, every society, the one who controls perception controls power. Think back. How many times have you seen a moderately confident person trusted more than a truly capable but hesitant one? How many times have you seen a manipulator craft a story that made him look like the victim, while he was actually the one causing harm? That is the power of narrative, the story that shapes perception. Most people don't live in truth. They live in the stories others have written for them to believe. Machiavelli saw this over 500 years ago, observing the Italian lords. Those who ruled didn't have to be right. They only had to appear right. They didn't have to be moral. They only had to seem moral. Because people don't act on truth, they act on belief. And whoever controls belief controls the actions of the masses. That's why Machiavelli said, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see, but few can touch." Once you understand this, you stop wasting energy trying to prove yourself right. You realize that first impressions outweigh final arguments. A person who speaks with conviction, steady eyes, and upright posture may say something completely wrong, yet people will believe them. While someone truly right may be dismissed as weak simply because they hesitated or feared being misunderstood. Power lies not in evidence, but in the feeling you create. That's why in politics, business, and love, the winner is always the one who understands how to design perception. They know when to speak and when to stay silent. They use silence to make others interpret things in their favor. They know when to appear and when to withdraw. They understand that scarcity creates value and unpredictability creates authority. You can be kind, but if you allow others to define you as weak, they will treat you that way. You can have good intentions, but if you show up with hesitant, uncertain energy, your words will never be heard. The world mirrors how you define yourself. If you see yourself as someone who must ask for permission, you'll always remain in the position of the one who waits. But if you see yourself as someone with authority, you'll emit an energy that makes others adjust their behavior in your presence. What Machiavelli teaches is not deception, but the art of consciously shaping your image. Think of every great leader. They are not only capable, they master the ability to appear capable. They understand that people need symbols to believe in, so they become that symbol before anyone even asks the question. They don't follow the crowd, they lead the crowd's perception. You can start today. Observe how you walk into a room, how you say your first sentence, how you react when challenged. Every gesture, every glance of Ruthless is a declaration of power, either your weapon or your weakness. Don't let others define you. Be the one who creates the context, because in every game of power, whoever controls the context controls the outcome. The world doesn't care how right you are, only that you make them believe you deserve to be heard. And that is the ultimate essence of power. When you shape the perception of others around your presence, you don't just exist. You become the center of the game. True power is never loud. It doesn't need banners, titles, or crowd to chant its name. Real power hides in the air, an invisible force that makes others instinctively adjust themselves when you walk in. The weak always seek to prove they are strong. The truly strong need not say a word. Everything around them aligns on its own. Machiavelli understood this well. He once said, "A wise ruler never reveals all he knows and never does all he thinks." Because when others cannot predict you, they fear making mistakes with you. Silence becomes your armor, and composure your blade. In a world where everyone craves attention, true power belongs to the one who doesn't chase it, but draws it naturally. Think of the most influential people you've ever met. They don't talk much, but when they do, the atmosphere shifts. They don't force anyone, yet everyone wants their approval. They don't command, yet every decision somehow orbits around them. That is the art of invisible influence, when you control not through authority, but through psychological gravity. This kind of power doesn't come from position or title, it comes from mastering your own energy. When you remain calm, others lose balance. When you stay silent, others speak too much and reveal themselves. When you observe instead of react, you become the only one who sees the full picture. Those with true power don't seek to win every argument. They choose only the battles worth winning. One of the deepest laws of power is this: whoever controls the tempo controls the game. The weak always react. The strong always make others react to them. In work, in love, in any relationship, the first to lose composure loses power. The first to crave validation reveals dependence. The truly powerful don't need instant victories. They win by making others gradually depend on their emotional gravity. They plant a feeling in others, a mix of fear of losing them and desire to be approved by them. That isn't control through force, but through craving. When someone needs you more than you need them, the game is already over. And the irony is, you don't have to do anything to achieve it. You simply withdraw at the right time. Presence with limits creates value. Absence with purpose creates power. Invisible power is also the ability to keep secrets in a world obsessed with exposure. When you speak less, others must imagine more, and in that process, they build an image of you greater than reality. They fill the gaps with their imagination, and imagination is always stronger than truth. That's why the wise never brag about their abilities. They let others believe they can do anything. That is the power of personal myth, something every true leader possesses. But to reach that level, you must first master yourself before you can master others. You cannot radiate the energy of power if your mind is still in chaos, if you still need to prove yourself, if you still fear being disliked, if you're still haunted by the need for validation. The truly powerful are not without fear. They simply direct their fear to serve them. They turn insecurity into focus, pain into sharpness, and silence into a weapon. At some point, you'll realize this. You don't need to shout to be heard, nor fight to be seen. You only need to know your own worth, and hold that energy steady no matter the situation. When you truly believe in yourself, the world begins to respond as if it's true. And when that happens, you no longer need power, because you've become the source of it. There's a harsh truth most people never want to admit. Kindness doesn't protect you from being exploited. In the real world, good people are not always loved. They're often seen as easy, naive, or usable. Meanwhile, the ruthless, those who understand the limits of kindness, are the ones who are respected, feared, and treated fairly. Not because they're evil, but because they understand how power and human psychology truly operate. Machiavelli once said, "He who wishes to be good all the time will soon come to ruin among so many who are not good." This is not an endorsement of cruelty, but a revelation of survival. If you stay soft in a world of predators, you'll soon become prey. Necessary ruthlessness is not about killing or betrayal. It's the ability to place reason above emotion. It's the courage to say no, knowing others will be disappointed. It's walking away from a toxic bond, even when your heart still lingers. It's firing someone who's no longer fit, even if you built everything together. Ruthlessness, in truth, is the highest form of discipline. It demands you endure guilt, loneliness, and pain to protect something greater, your dignity and control over your own life. The weak fear making others sad, the strong fear losing themselves. Once you grasp that, you'll understand that ruthless doesn't mean emotionless. It means using emotion wisely, at the right time, in the right place. You don't have to love everyone, help everyone, or forgive everyone. Every time you try, you scatter your energy, and when your energy is fragmented, others can manipulate you easily. The most successful people share one thing in common. They are selective with their kindness. They are not generous at random. They treat kindness as an investment, not a free gift. They know that if you don't set the boundaries of your goodness, others will, and always in ways that benefit them, not you. Machiavelli advised rulers to be cruel once rather than merciful many times. And because repeated mercy creates a cycle of emotional debt, you help, others receive, and then expect more. Eventually, you're not thanked, you're obligated. But when you are ruthless at the right moment, you force others to stand on their own feet, to take responsibility, and that's what truly helps them grow, while you preserve your power. In the modern world, necessary ruthlessness takes subtler forms: the courage to turn down misaligned opportunities, the discipline to cut off those who drain your growth, the restraint to stay silent when provoked instead of losing composure. It's ruthlessness toward your own weakness, refusing to let emotion lead you astray. When you start living by principle instead of impulse, you become hard to manipulate, and that is the foundation of psychological strength. Sometimes, necessary ruthlessness is leaving quietly instead of begging to stay. It's not proving yourself right, but letting others realize they were wrong. It's letting those who once underestimated you watch you rise without a word. This form of ruthlessness isn't revenge, it's reclamation. It's taking back the right to steer your own life. Intelligent ruthlessness doesn't come from hatred, but from clarity. The awareness that this world doesn't reward the nice, it rewards those with principles, those unafraid to lose, those who can cut away before being drained. Once you learn to be ruthless without losing your humanity, you reach the highest level of inner power, absolute self-mastery. At that point, your kindness is no longer a weakness, but a gift of real value, one reserved only for those who truly deserve it. In the world of power and influence, truth is not what defines how people see you. The story they believe about you does. Most people think that being genuine, sincere, and competent automatically earns them recognition. But that's one of humanity's greatest illusions. The brutal reality is, people don't see you as you are. They see you through the lens of perception, impression, and rumor. And if you don't control those things, someone else will, and never in your favor. Machiavelli once wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, but few touch what you truly are." Within that line lies the entire secret of power. Control the surface, conceal the core. Let people see what you want them to believe, not what you're really thinking. A leader, a successful individual, or a person of influence never allows raw truth to damage the strategic image they've built with precision. People don't judge you by logic, they judge by emotion. In the first 5 seconds, others form 80% of their perception about you: your voice, posture, eyes, and silence. A person 10 times more capable than you may still lose if they appear nervous, avoid eye contact, or speak with hesitation. they've already been defeated before saying a word. Meanwhile, someone mediocre who walks with intent, speaks firmly, and radiates confidence convinces others that he is trustworthy, competent, and worth listening to. Perception is so powerful it can turn an ordinary man into a symbol and a genius into a ghost. You don't need to pretend, but you must control the stage. Every action, every word, every silence sends signals about your worth and your standing. When you dress well, stand tall, speak slowly, and avoid overreacting, you are training the world to see you as someone of high value. But when you always seem too eager, too accommodating, too afraid of being misunderstood, you are training the world to see you as someone seeking approval, not as someone with choices. And in that moment, power leaves you without anyone taking it. The intelligent don't try to change how people think, they direct how people feel. Because emotions create stories, and stories shape perception. If you make people feel that you are strong, they will search for evidence to confirm it. If you make them feel that you are trustworthy, they will overlook your flaws to protect that image in their minds. Perception is a mirror that reflects emotion, and you are the one controlling the light that hits it. Look at the masters of media, politics, and business. They are not always the best, but they tell the best story about themselves. They know when to appear, when to stay silent, when to leak information, and how to turn every setback into a chapter of resilience. When they fall, they don't call it failure, they call it a lesson in growth. When criticized, they don't defend, they redirect the conversation toward values, vision, or courage. That is the art of perception management, not denying reality, but mastering how others narrate it. You can be right, but if you lose the battle of image, you still lose. In the modern world, whoever controls the narrative controls the power. A rumor, a photo, a well-timed comment. These can elevate someone to glory or destroy them overnight. So if you don't define yourself, others will, and they rarely do it fairly. Perception control begins with consistency. Your words, actions, style, and reactions must align. Don't be gentle today and aggressive tomorrow. Don't promise what you can't deliver. Don't try to please everyone. It's the fastest way to lose your image. The truly powerful make sure people always know who they are, not because they talk too much, but because every move reinforces that identity. And above all, remember this classic Machiavellian rule. Appear merciful, faithful, humane, honest, and religious, but only when it serves your purpose. That means you may show kindness, but never let it control you. You may act humble, but never forget your position. Because the moment you believe appearances don't matter, you hand over the power to define you, to others. In the era of social media, where every gaze can turn into judgment, controlling perception is no longer a luxury, it's survival. Be the screenwriter of your own image, not a background character in someone else's story. Turn every action into a message, every appearance into a silent statement. And when the world talks about you, make sure they're talking in the direction you chose. In the end, the winner is not the one who is most authentic, but the one whose version of truth is most believed. Machiavelli never taught deception. He taught understanding of how people believe, and how to use that belief as a tool of power. When you master perception, you don't just own your image, you own the reality others live in. Every powerful person understands a truth the weak constantly forget. Real power doesn't come from winning the game. It comes from writing the rules. As long as you're following someone else's rules, you're playing their game. The moment you start creating your own, even in a small arena, you begin to control the outcome. This is the line that separates the worker from the master, the one who seeks opportunity from the one who creates it. Machiavelli once wrote, "The wise man creates more opportunities than he finds." That statement isn't merely about initiative, it's about a deeper strategy, building systems that force others to play in ways that benefit you. Systemizing power doesn't mean controlling people through force or fear. It's the refined art of shaping structures, principles, and habits so that even in your absence, the world around you still moves according to your design. A great leader doesn't need to shout commands, because the system they've built naturally drives others to act as they wish. A wise person in a relationship doesn't need to control their partner, because their boundaries, tone, and reactions have already defined their position in the other's mind. In work, in love, in society, the one who holds the rules holds the power. You can be the smartest, hardest working person in the room, but if the rules were written for someone else to win, you're still just a pawn. That's why a Machiavellian never asks, "How can I win?" They ask, "Who wrote these rules and who do they serve?" Once you start asking that question, you stop being a piece on the chessboard and begin becoming the one who moves the pieces. A stable power system always rests on 3 layers: mindset, mechanism, and influence. Mindset is the root, the way you see the world. Mechanism is the body, the structure you build and the rules you enforce. Influence is the crown, the way you make others believe in that system. If you only have influence but no mechanism, your power is fragile, dependent on others' emotions. If you have mechanism but no influence, you're a lonely controller. Only when all 3 unite, power becomes stable, self-sustaining, and untouchable. For example, a strong company doesn't depend on a great boss. It thrives because its system makes employees perform effectively even when the boss is gone. A truly charismatic person doesn't attract others because they speak well, but because their way of living makes others feel influenced. That's the highest level of power, power without presence. It seeps into culture, habits, and the reflexes of those around you, so that you dominate without lifting a finger. To build your own system, you must lay foundations with principles, not emotions. Every time you compromise just to keep the peace, you erode your own laws. Every time you say, "It's fine, let it go," you teach others that your boundaries are flexible. And once they realize your rules can be bent, your power dissolves. Your system doesn't have to be rigid, but it must be consistent. If you defend it long enough, people stop testing you. They start adapting to you. Machiavelli advised rulers, "If you cannot make people love you, make them fear you." Now, in modern terms, that means, if people don't yet respect your rules because they like you, they must at least respect them, because breaking them costs them something. That's the essence of every power structure. Reward compliance, punish violation. And the beauty is, you don't even have to enforce it yourself. The system does it for you. Systemizing power is the only way to free yourself from the exhausting need to control. When everything runs by the laws you've created, you no longer have to hold on tightly. You can simply observe. At that point, you no longer fear losing power, because true power doesn't sit in your hands. It lives in the structure you've built into the world. All the lessons about discipline, emotion, ruthlessness, perception, and control lead to one final destination: freedom. But not the naive freedom of dreamers or escapists. It's the freedom of someone who understands the world so deeply that they no longer fear it. The Machiavellian doesn't seek power to dominate others, but to liberate himself from the domination of others. When you truly master power, you no longer need to prove permission. You act, and the world adjusts to you. That is the highest state of strength, when everything orbits around you naturally, without resistance. Machiavelli once said, "A wise man must learn how to fight with both the laws of men and the laws of beasts." Meaning, to be truly free, you must know when to follow order and when to transcend it. The weak live trapped within rules. The reckless break them mindlessly. But the Machiavellian transforms rules into tools. He isn't bound by them, he creates them. He doesn't need to rebel to prove his freedom, because his very existence is proof enough. Power, at its highest form, is no longer about ruling or manipulating others. It becomes the ability to shape reality itself. You speak, and actions follow. You stay silent, and your silence carries weight. You simply appear, and others instinctively adjust their energy to match yours. At that level, you no longer need to fight, because no one dares to challenge someone who has transcended the need to prove anything. The legacy of a Machiavellian is not built on castles, titles, or wealth, but on influence that outlives time. The truly powerful do not need to be remembered by name. They are remembered through the impact they leave on people's minds. They are the ones who change how others think, react, and live. They plant an idea, a principle, a story into the world, and the world continues to revolve around it long after they are gone. That is the immortality of the Machiavellian mind. But here lies the paradox. To reach that level of power, a Machiavellian must learn to let go of power. When you're obsessed with control, you're still being controlled by your obsession. When you fear losing your position, you're still chained to it. Only when you understand that power isn't something to keep, but a force to be directed, do you become truly free. You no longer need to prove strength. Your calmness proves it for you. You no longer need to win, because there's no one left worth defeating. True freedom comes when you can act without fear, stay silent without weakness, and walk away without regret. At that point, power is no longer your goal. It's your natural state, the reflex of a mind that has risen above the game itself. Like the player who finally realizes he doesn't need to win every match, because he is the board. The true Machiavellian leaves no teachings behind, only principles of existence. Never be deceived by emotion, never enslaved by kindness, never bow to false appearances, never stop because of loneliness. He understands that all strength has a price, and he is willing to pay it in solitude, in misunderstanding, in years of being hated, just to earn one thing: the right to live on his own terms. That is the final destination of every power journey: freedom in thought, mastery in action, and serenity in fate. When you no longer need to be loved, recognized, or applauded, you have become what Machiavelli wanted you to be: untouchable. People say power is ambition, deceit, or darkness. But they misunderstand. Power is the last light that remains after you've seen through all the darkness of human nature. It's not about dominating others. It's about freeing yourself from weakness, from the fear of rejection, from the desperate need to be loved blindly. Every Machiavellian principle, from discipline, ruthlessness, and perception control to creating the rules, leads you to one destination: self-mastery. When you master yourself, you no longer need anyone to grant you power. The world gives it to you naturally, drawn to the stability you radiate. In a world where everyone wants to be loved, choose to be respected. In a world where everyone wants to be understood, choose to be unpredictable. In a world where everyone fears loneliness, choose the silence that gives you power. Because when nothing can scare you, when your peace no longer depends on anyone's approval, that is when you've reached the summit of power. Machiavelli never wrote for the weak. He wrote for those willing to face the harsh truth of life and refuse to be its victim. Power, to him, was never the game of the cruel. It was the language of reality. If you cannot speak it, you will always be led. But once you understand it, you no longer need to shout, threaten, or beg. You simply exist, and the world begins to turn around your axis. For in the end, all power fades, but character endures. And the true Machiavellian does not live to be remembered. He lives to create laws that the world itself cannot forget. When you no longer need to defeat anyone, you have already conquered everything.